Listen up. The vast majority of nutritional data that we have access to, spanning over 100 years, is strongly in favor of a whole food plant-based diet for being the optimal diet for health, longevity, and for prevention of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. That in contrast with the studies we have on low-carb, high animal food diets being corroborated with increased risk of heart disease, increased risk of cancer, and the meta-analysis even showing as much as an increase of 30% risk in all-cause mortality. So with all this data, why is there still so much confusion about nutrition and plant-based diet? And why is there still a high reversion rate from plant-based diets back to omnivorous diets? Well, I know there's a handful of reasons to this. Too many reasons, in fact, to go into on a short video like this. So I'm going to tell you one of the main reasons why I think some people start a plant-based diet, but then revert back to an omnivorous diet within the first few years. Let's get right into it. The main reason why some people have trouble on a plant-based diet is because they jump in without proper education. Because they don't know what they're doing, they tend towards extreme versions of a plant-based diet, or they are just not covering their nutritional profile so they don't feel good. One example of this is people going from an omnivorous or a standard American diet straight into a high raw diet. In the early 2000s, one of the most popular versions of a plant-based diet was called a gourmet raw diet. This was super high in fat. It concentrated on nuts and seeds, making delicious desserts, lots of dehydrating, this sort of thing. And a lot of people ended up having issues with that diet. Some people did okay, but the majority of people are not able to sustain that long term because it's very hard on the digestion. And if you just look at the science, having that super high percentage of fat creates insulin resistance, low energy, and overall burdens the digestion and does not allow for one to thrive sustainably on the diet. There's nothing wrong with a raw food diet. There's a lot of health benefits to that. But you need to go in educated and you need to know how to cover your nutritional profile in a healthy and sustainable way. So this jumping from one extreme to another creates this back and forth effect. It's just yin and yang, expansion, contraction. So when people jump from a standard American diet into a high raw or fully raw, even gourmet style diet, then at some point they're actually going to jump back to the other extreme. And that's why we have a lot of these people reverting from plant-based diets into an extreme version of an animal-based diet where they're just going carnivore and stuff like this. Another example of people jumping into a plant-based diet in an uneducated way is overthinking the protein situation and then therefore depending on fake meats and processed foods to try and cover their bases. But what they don't realize is that these fake meats and processed foods are full of oil, full of sugar, and a lot of times genetically modified foods, not to mention sodium and all kinds of other preservatives and chemicals. So of course, if you're depending on these processed foods, you're getting your macros out of balance with the high fat, you're going to end up with insulin resistance, you're going to end up with all kinds of health issues, similar issues that you will get eating processed crap on any other diet. So what's the solution here? I recommend people transition from standard American diets and omnivorous diets to a whole foods, plant-based diet that's high carb and around 20% calories from fat. In this diet, the foods you're going to focus on are fruit, whole grains, beans, cooked and raw vegetables, sea veggies, and a little sea salt. And once you've integrated a whole food plant-based diet into your lifestyle and routine, then you can start to experiment more into raw or more into higher fruit or more into any direction that you're curious about because you'll have a strong and sustainable foundation to reference to. If you're ready to take your health to the next level, achieve your optimal weight and aesthetic physique, then I highly recommend transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet as soon as possible. I've put together an amazing 20-page guide called the Shred Club Whole Food Plant-Based Transition Guide to help you transition to a whole food plant-based diet in a sustainable and efficient way. And I'm giving it to you totally free. Type SHRED in the comments and I'll send you the link myself. As always, wishing you the best of health.